Race number 6. I've got Sergeant Pepper on a 7-day backup. Flying High has the hood coming off. Flying Season gets the blinkers on for his second start. First starters, the 6 and the 7, have had 4 trials. Lucky Gore's been back to the trials since he was late scratched. Hood and the Pacifiers go on. Sunshine Legendary, Tycoon's Choice have had 5 trials, and Multimore Tom has his second start for Benno and comes back up in grade after winning at Happy Valley. 1,000-metre race. What does the speed map tell us?
Yeah, well, Kowloon East Starry wasn't the quickest out last start, but that was courtesy of an issue that wasn't his fault. He was ended up a non-runner in the race, but Chevelle Valiant likes to go forward. Lerp Levita's shown a little bit of speed, but has been a little bit slow in a couple of trials also. Sergeant Pepper and Multimore Paul, he charged onto the pace to win first up at Happy Valley last start.
Yeah, that was over 1,000 at the Valley, so you can see if he can bring that speed here. Lucky Gore, another one that scratched at the barrier last time. He shouldn't be too far away either.
Lyle Hewitson with a win at Happy Valley on Wednesday night aboard Valiant Elegance. He'll team up in that race with Douglas White on Chevelle Valiant, and Lyle had a chat with Nick via Zoom earlier today.
Lyle, Chevelle Valiant is a horse that you know quite well, has run 2 good races recently and looks a leading chance this Sunday at Sha Tin.
Yeah, he's a consistent horse. He makes it tough for himself because he's pretty much a one-dimensional. He's got a lot of speed and sort of hangs on to the last few strides, and unfortunately he's been collared his last few starts. But nonetheless, he's in good form. He's been running well, and yeah, I think that once again he'll put up a good performance, albeit what looks to be a competitive race.
It certainly is. Obviously, quite a few newcomers. Just on his last couple of starts, Lyle, when you've ridden him, he's been drawn 2 and 7, and I guess traditionally down the straight, that's the wrong side to be. You're in 10 now. Does that help you out? Do you think more closer to this stand side rail?
Yeah, I think obviously according to trends, it definitely will be beneficial that he's up there, but he's been able to overcome those draws a bit easier because he's naturally quick. But nonetheless, that just makes things more in our favour being drawn there, and I think we'll have to just take full advantage of it.
The handicap has put him up a point. He's got an extra pound to carry. You don't see that being any sort of issue at all?
Yeah, I think a pound at this stage is not too much to worry about. But yeah, I mean, we'd like to see him win before he puts up any more weight.
I mean, just from what you're saying, Lyle, obviously, I mean, he's still lightly raced, only had 7 rounds. I mean, is he a horse that has his limitations? Do you think now's the time to try and strike with him, if you can? Yeah,
look, I think that he's going to be competitive throughout that class 4. But yes, he does have his limitations because he's not a big horse. He's robust, he's strong, but he's a small speed machine and not much scope that he's going to step up over 12 and improve from there. He's an out-and-out 5 furlong horse. I know he hasn't performed at Happy Valley in his 2 starts there, but there is always that option to go back now that he's in good form. But nonetheless, I think that, like you say, the strike while the iron's hot would be ideal.
There is a Lyle Hewitson. Now we're going to further look back at that race, Paul, and we're going to focus more on Flying Season here. There he is in barrier 6. He draws gate 14 with those blinkers going on. Yeah,
so he's got the blinkers on. He ran really well, I thought. Look, you can see him just playing up before the start as well, Flying Season. So, you know, there's obviously the barrier manners. It was just slightly slow away there. But with the blinkers on, let's see if he stays a little bit more focused. And it was a good finish off from him. I thought he ran really well. So, look, he's definitely got some ability, this horse.
Yeah, there was certainly no support about him first up. He was 36 to 1 in the market. So this time around, I think the outside barrier draw is likely to help him because he's going to have a rail to follow. You can see sort of halfway down the straight here as well at about the 250, 300. He did want to get the head on the side a few times, but once he got himself sorted out and focused, he really finished off pretty well. Blinkers will certainly sharp him up again. I didn't quite get him in this time round though, Paul.
No, I didn't either. But I did put Chevelle Valiant, the horse, in those lime colours there earlier, closer to the rail. I thought he ran pretty well.
And now, Tom, we've got the zoom-in happening around Kowloon East Star. This was the day he was declared a non-starter because of that blindfold right there. Yeah, it's pretty hard to run a race when you've got your eyes covered, and that's what happened to him at the start there, and he was taken out of it by the stewards after the race. So he had a clear excuse there. He didn't jump as sharply as he has done in the past, but he also has put in the odd bad start as well in the past. We're going to see his trial here, Paul, because here he is with Cheval Valiant and Flying High. This is actually race 356, is the race that he wins. That blindfolded incident, knowing that Tom's talked about his barrier manners before, could that be a bad thing going forward for him? Yeah, well, obviously there's a little issue there, a little kink in his armour, but we know the horse has got plenty of speed, and look, he just ran away here and won really nicely, I thought. So if he can get into a rhythm and get out quickly and get to the front, then I think he's going to be right in the finish here. Look, I've included him. Yeah,
he's in for me as well as Kalani Star. The other horse that stayed on okay there was Flying High, but he is now an 11-start maiden.
He is and has run 7th since that second. Off to Happy Valley, Tom. Here's Savvy Delight having his first look both at Sha Tin and the Straight 1000.
Yeah, and he's been a little bit of a costly conveyance for supporters of him, Paul, because he's gone off at anywhere sort of between 2.7 and 9.7 recently, but he was making ground here from the rear last start quite stylishly.
Yeah, it was a nice enough run from him. He hasn't got that early gate speed, so maybe the straight 1000, just a straight down, might be able to help him pick up late. Didn't quite make it in for me.
We saw Happy Jai Jai on Wednesday night, Paul, come up from Class 5 in good form, and when Multimore is looking to do the same, his form not as strong, even though a last start winner, as what Happy Jai Jai had been. No, that's the thing with him, isn't he? So coming up here into Class 4, look, he'd run last in his 4 starts prior to this. When he'd come to Happy Valley and done really well. Like, I'd like to see him do it again.
Yeah, likewise here. He's had 5 runs in the grade. Hasn't run 1, 2, 3 or 4. Maybe the lightweight can help him, but Benno's done a good job with him so far.
Yeah, he sure has. As we check out Enchanting Ibis here, Tom, Antoine Hemland for Tony Millard, 4 trials and draws out in 13.
Magic Million Yearling, he was 28,000 Australian dollars. He sort of sat midfielder. I didn't mind him here in the trial. He looked to be under a nice enough hold, no real pressure put on him, and he has led in the trial in the past, Paul, at Happy Valley.
Yeah, he has. Look, he's 11.45 pounds. He's had those 4 trials to get him ready. I didn't quite get him in, but the trial was good enough.
And that is Brilliant Wade the Grey, who was placed at Sha Tin last weekend. Another 2 of the first starters, Paul Sunshine Legendary for Richard Gibson and Le Plus Vite for David Hayes.
Got Le Plus Vite in, definitely. I just like the way he finished off here. Look, he has shown pace in some of his trials. He's been at slow away in a couple, so he's going to have to sort of jump away clean. If he does, I think he can put himself right there. So, look, I'll put him in. The other horse, Legendary... what's he called? Legendary, Sunshine Legendary, got there in the end. Sunshine Legendary didn't quite make it in, but it was a nice enough trial for him.
And here's Lucky Gore, Tom. Now, this was over the 1,000 metres. He's drawn barrier number 4. He's been back to the trials after being late scratch for doing something similar on race day.
And he's pretty much done it every barrier trial, done something wrong, and the gates has Lucky Gore. So that's the risk you take here with him. He just keeps wanting to do things wrong. Before his first up run we touched on, he was a $75,000 yearling out of Magic Millions. He'd trialled in Australia. He won a trial there with Logan McGill. He hasn't been put under any pressure here over the final stages of this trial, but Paul, it's just his barrier manners. They're not good.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he can jump and do this, then look, he's one of the main chances. I think he's definitely got the ability. He's just a little bit of headstrong at the start. That's the query for him.
He's one of 3 in the race, which could be Barrier Rogues, Flying Season, and not so much Kowloon Star, Paul. He's just a slow beginner at times. His manners have been all right in the gates. We need some selections, though. Yeah, I like a couple of the Rogues, in fact. I've got Lucky Gore on top. Let's see if he can get to the race at this time. He was scratched at the barrier last time, but the horse has been working and trialling well, so he's on top. The 5 Kowloon Star in there for second, Le Plus Vite in there for third. Now, I do like his trials coming to the race. He's had 4 of them, and Cheval Valiant, he's a racehorse, Cheval Valiant, but has got a lot of speed as well. So he goes in for 4th, 8, 5, 7, 11. There are 5 first starters in this race, though.
I'm going to settle with one of the first starters here, number 7, Le Plus Vite, out of the stable of David Hayes, and Daniel Moore takes the ride. He was just half a stride slow in his recent trial, but looked good going to the line under a hold. He does have some speed to this horse, 7, Le Plus Vite. Over 8, Lucky Gore, depends what type of mood he's in at the gates, I guess. Kowloon Star and Sunshine Legendary, so 7, 8, 5 and 9.